In the meantime, the First Lady wants school kids to start eating green. Instead, they've stopped eating anything.
My family, when they cooked vegetables, they would just like boil them. Remember that, parent? And they'd get all soft and mushy, and nobody wanted to eat a pea or a Brussels sprout because they tasted horrible because they were all mush. Now, I actually like vegetables because they're prepared right.
Well, the president was speaking to kids and telling them that, well, he may like his vegetables. Turns out some upstate New York school kids do not. So the district there has scrapped the veggies and brought back the goodies to two moms on whether the food police have failed. Lise Wheel says they have, but Tanya Zuckerbrot says they have not. Tanya, you're not giving up.
No, I am far from giving up, and we cannot give up. This is too important to this country's future health. Currently, the statistics are staggering, and what they're showing is that 1 of every 3 children in this country is either overweight or at risk of being overweight.
And what failed here? Obviously, they went cold turkey, right?
Well, what failed was that the kids weren't buying into it. They thought the portions were too small. They didn't like the food. They weren't eating it. So that's what failed.
Because they were hungry. They were starving. They was on this calorie-restricted diets, and they were also force-fed this. I mean, you know how hard it is to make your kids eat those veggies? I mean, at least you got to give them, okay, if you want your little tofu burger here, your itsy-bitsy tofu burger, then maybe you can have an itsy-bitsy hamburger beside it and let them decide and throw some veggies in there. But coming in and forcing kids, because kids react violently against that. They will say, if you tell me what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the exact opposite.
Well, I was told that a lot of the schools didn't have much of a choice. In other words, you could have a healthy series of things, but all the health choices were kind of lousy.
They weren't that lousy, though. I think this is a huge... No, this is a huge misconception.
Your idea is Brussels sprouts, I mean, but...
It was pizza. It's whole wheat pasta with meatballs. It's ranch dip with vegetables. I mean, these are actually foods that adults should be eating and kids should be eating.
But in some places...
Yeah, the caloric restriction, I think, once again, this is incorrect. When I looked at the calories, they're exceeding what actually kids need.
So what happened? Something went wrong. I'm telling you, something went wrong, and the kids just bolted.
You know, because I think kids are used to the standard American diet, which is overprocessed, high in salt, high in fat, low in fiber. And that really begins, as I said,
here's where I disagree, and as a parent, I could say this. When my kids' school started offering more healthier fare, they kept a lot of stuff there so that the kids had more exposure to other options. Not that you should all go one option and just have Rice Krispie treats, although not bad for your kids. I'm just saying that there were more options that could satisfy parents who felt that they were being limited for their kids,
right?
And those who were being very helpful about it, that they wanted to provide other options.
Exactly. So they have options. Do not force-fed and having to go cold turkey on all of this, because what happened is they said, A, we're hungry, and B, they opted out completely out of the program. So many of these good foods literally went down the food disposal and cost $3.2 billion if this is all implemented over the next 5 years. I mean, they were talking about a lot of money here.
What if they just prepared them poorly, right? There are a lot of healthy foods. You can have it if you prepared right, but if you just throw some steamed beans on a plate, right?
I really do want to really stress the fact that the menu here had a ton of variety, and the foods were not so healthy to the point that they were inedible.
Right.
Something happened here. You might have looked at this stuff and said, oh, my God, I've paid dirt, I've hit heaven.
No, look,
but these kids said, no, this is hell.
I am a mother of 3 kids under the age of 10. So as much as, you know, I know academically what my kids should be eating, I still have to manage my children's expectations and what they want and what their friends are eating. So when I took a look at this menu, I'm looking at it first as a professional, saying, is this adequate nutrition? Are the calories enough? Is there enough balance here? Once I gave that the check, then I looked at, okay, knowing my 3 kids are the stuff they would eat. And this is the kind of stuff that we do have in the house. And I want to say this, I do not overpolice my kids, knowing that the kids who are overpoliced are the ones that go to their friends' houses and pick out.
It's so strict.
There is enough variety, and the foods, frankly,
well, whatever happened, schools losing $100,000 a pop trying to move for this. I mean, something went wrong.
And so regimented.
So what would they do to fix it?
Well, first, they could have a program like this, but offer a variety of things. So if a kid one day, I mean, kids are people too. One day you want a hamburger, one day you want a tofu.
Like arugula, ring dings, arugula, ring dings. Right.
You know, that's how it works.
But I think the big problem here is the fact that the kids reacted so violently, that they weren't eating these foods
because they were force-fed.
But also because they are not used to these foods. These are not foods that are typical
Even more
to
reason
them.
then.
For example, in my house, we have one bread and one bread only, which is wheat bread. So my kids want bread. It's not a choice of white or whole wheat. And that's why
But you police the shelves, right?
Well, Mothers,
they don't go out and
mothers-
bring nonsense home,
But
right?
that is correct, Neil. And this is where we
Okay.
have a huge responsibility because mothers are the gatekeepers. We are
So
responsible
maybe
for
they
70%
should leave it at
of
that and not have the schools.
Right.
be the
I
gatekeepers.
totally disagree. The schools have every single right to get involved.
No, they don't.
Yes, absolutely.
No, they
I'll
don't.
explain
no, they
why.
Don't. No, they don't to
Okay.
infinity.
They absolutely do. The
Don't you
schools are
think-
funded by
you're
the
doing a
government.
great job with your kids.
The schools are funded by the government, correct. Right. Therefore, since the burden of the healthcare system falls on the government has a
But it's not
responsibility
working.
to get involved. And if you don't like the public schools, homeschool your
But
kids.
when it's
but
not
these are what is being
working-
offered within the
We
schools.
didn't used to do
You
that.
know, people get all rough, like, their feathers in, a big ruffle when the government sets these mandates, whether it's on the size of our sodas or actually having to wear seatbelts.
Don't give up the fight.
yeah.
Don't give up the fight. You're saying
Ridiculous. The size of our sodas, they just go and get more sodas.
Right.
We don't know how to stop. I mean, that is the problem.
Moderation.
everything in moderation. Kids, just one
Ring
large
ding,
bag of the
arugula.
barbecue chips. Just one. All right.
A day.
When we